What's going on, restoration dominators out there? Exciting episode today, because today we're going to be talking about how you can scale your business using the one and almighty tool, LinkedIn. Now, I know that for a lot of us restoration contractors out there, if you're doing program work or maybe you're pursuing a lot of plumbers or whatever it is that you do, you're probably not looking at LinkedIn as this platform that, if positioned properly, can get you in contact with your ideal avatar, that perfect buyer, that perfect facilities manager, the perfect business owner, or even homeowner. And today our guest is going to go ahead and share a lot of tips and tricks on how to position yourself, how to position your profile, how to position your company profile in order to achieve just that. But before we jump into the episode, I want to give a big shout out to our show sponsors. So today we're joined by Viveka van Rosen, and she is absolutely amazing when it comes down to LinkedIn positioning, LinkedIn marketing, and more importantly, turning your LinkedIn profile into a money-making machine. And she's going to share a lot of tips and tricks on how our industry can go ahead and use not only LinkedIn and your general profile, but also how you can use the search capabilities of LinkedIn, which is probably one of the most robust that's available out there in the market, to find your ideal, perfect customer. So without further ado, let's jump into the episode. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's go.
Welcome to the Restoration Domination Podcast, where you learn actionable advice that moves the needle and helps service-based businesses dominate. Here's your host, Rico Garcia Jr.
What is going on, restoration dominators? Welcome to yet another episode. And let's just jump right in. Welcome to the show. You ready to help us dominate?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
Awesome. Cool. So for those that may not be familiar with the name, just give us a quick little introduction as to who you are and what you do and how you help entrepreneurs out there.
Sure. My name's Viveka van Rosen. My social handles for the past 16 years have been at LinkedIn Expert. We'll talk more about the shifts that are going on in just a couple minutes. But yeah, I'm a LinkedIn expert. I've been writing, training, teaching about LinkedIn since 2006. That's a long time. Wow. I have a couple books. I've had two LinkedIn companies. The first one was LinkedIn to Business, and then we started Vengresso 6 years ago. And actually, Vengresso right now is itself pivoting from a digital sales transformation, LinkedIn training, sales nav training, social video training company into a software company. But I know we'll talk more about that. But yeah, if you just want to Google LinkedIn Expert, you'll find me.
Awesome. And then also, because you already mentioned, some of your books, one of which is 101 Ways to Rock LinkedIn, which, by the way, I will leave a link in the video description as well as in the show notes below. This entire episode, for the most part, is going to be revolving around your LinkedIn profile, how to use LinkedIn properly, and how really a lot of people aren't chiming into the power of LinkedIn. There's a lot of people out there that understand that it's powerful, but they don't quite understand how to use it properly, and they're missing out on a lot of opportunities there. So that's where you're going to go ahead and jump in. And I guess this is the perfect segue, right? Yeah. What is it that you see that people are doing really, really wrong on LinkedIn, especially when it comes down to introducing themselves and potentially pitching their product or services? What are the biggest turnoffs on LinkedIn right now?
Yeah. And I think if anyone were to open up their LinkedIn profile and jump into their inbox, they would see this, or their introductions, they would see this. And it's getting on LinkedIn and asking for business, or trying, even worse, trying to sell your business to someone when you haven't earned the right yet. And I guess because it's online, it's digital, people forget their manners. They forget what their mama taught them, right? And they get on there and it's like, hey, let's connect. And before you know it, you're on someone's newsletter without your permission, or they're going, hey, buy my stuff. And some people, even in the invitation to connect, will try and sell you their product or their service. And chances are they're using an automation tool, which you can tell usually because they're kind of off on what they're trying to pitch you. I get people trying to sell me, automated LinkedIn sales generation every day, all day long. I'm sure the rest of you do too, like all this lead generation crap out there. And it's like, you look at my profile. I've written several books. Everything we do, or at least up until the Vengresso pivot, everything we did was about prospecting. Like, why are you sending me this message? So that's it. They get into LinkedIn. They reach out to people too early. They haven't earned the right yet. They try and sell their stuff. And usually, especially if they're using automation, they're selling the wrong stuff to the wrong people. And that's not only not getting you business, it's actually costing you your reputation.
So I definitely want to talk about automations because I'm huge on automations, but I think that there needs to be like an asterisk here with the statement, whereas LinkedIn does not approve of any kind of automation, as far as I know, based on their policy. So zero automation in theory. However, there are tons and tons of tools that are out there that if you are in fact trying to save time and you understand the risks associated with using automations and you're willing to risk your account, maybe that's a topic for a different time. There's definitely potentially a place and a time for it. I think if used wisely, it could really help a lot of people. But before you even get there, we really got to get the profile correctly. So let me just give you kind of like our avatar. So you have an understanding of like who the majority of our listeners are, right?
Yeah.
These are restoration professionals, right? These are people that are hunting down commercial deals with, either property management companies or facilities managers or you name it. In a lot of cases, they're also looking for residential properties, that may have water damage, mold, et cetera, right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people within our industry that say, well, I can't really use LinkedIn as a good prospecting tool. So I think that first things first, we have to look at the actual profile. Like, what are they doing on their profile? So walk us through what a well put together profile would look like and some tips and tricks maybe on how we can get there.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, that's how we always start working with clients, is making sure they have a good profile. Because to your point, if someone's going to Google you, your company, or a need, restoration, chances are your LinkedIn profile are going to show up, and they're going to click through to that. And if it looks like a resume, if there's nothing there, if there's something barely there, again, it can actually hurt your reputation. So you need to make sure that your LinkedIn profile is up to snuff. The second mistake people make, not having a profile, a very good profile, is having a profile that reads more like a resume. And let's face it, a lot of people created LinkedIn profiles because they were looking for jobs 5 years, 6 years, 2 years ago, right? But now that you have your business and you've established your business, you really need your LinkedIn profiles to be focused on your buyer and what their needs are. So it's a little antithetical to what you might be thinking, but your profile isn't actually about you. It's about your buyers and what their points of pain are, what their needs are. So if I'm focusing on commercial builders, then I want to talk to commercial builders. And I want to start that at the very top of my profile, from my background image, which is, commercial builders. Are you concerned about, or do you need, that I can have like my tagline right on my background image. My headline, you've got 220 characters. You need to speak to who you're helping, what their point of pain is, how you help them, and if you've got room at the last of the 220 characters, what your title is and the name of your company. But you really, again, want to focus on who is your buyer, speak to them directly. And quite frankly, the more specific your buyer, the better. Yes, we can help everyone with a house. Yes, we can help everyone with a building. But if you are focused on, commercial buildings in the Tampa area, put that into the headline, because that's really going to grab the attention of people who own or manage commercial buildings in the Tampa area. So it's really important, especially for brick and mortars, to get that kind of geolocation down as well in that headline. And then it goes on, right? You put information in the featured section, blog posts, podcasts, checklists, customer testimonials, client testimonials, white papers, whatever you've already created, whatever marketing materials you already have, that again speaks to your buyer, what their point of pain is. And then you, in your about section, you've got 2,600 characters to expand upon that headline. Who do you help? What is their point of pain? How do you help them? The whole thing is really kind of a sales page that focuses on your buyer. And most people don't even think to do that because they created their LinkedIn profile as a resume.
Right, right. Yeah. And I think that's a very old school way of thinking about LinkedIn, right? As a social platform. It's like, kind of everybody was on there. It's like, hey, I'm looking to get a job and, great. Hopefully I get recruited somewhere. Right. But it's obviously evolved so much. So kind of along the same vein here, let's talk about what a company and an owner and a manager should do when some of their team members, some of their employees are building their profile. I personally believe that direction should, in fact, especially on the social front, should come from the very, very top.
Absolutely.
What's your take on that? Like, how involved should a restoration business owner have on the social media presence, particularly in LinkedIn, right? Like, we don't really care about what they do on their TikTok. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But like when we're talking about LinkedIn and using it as a tool to go ahead and generate money, make some connections, how involved do you think a top tier management or ownership should be in that process to help guide for example, in our industry, we use, what they call marketers or direct salespeople. Right? They're knocking on doors, they're trying to shake hands, they're kissing babies, they're trying to build a relationship. How involved should that owner be in that process to make sure that it's the absolute best profile?
Yeah. So short answer, very. Let me build that out a little bit. So the clients that we work with, when we have leadership involved, the learners always are more involved and they always do better. So that's number one. The more involved the leadership can get in the employee activity of creating and engaging using LinkedIn, the better. And there's a lot of different areas and ways that you can do that. So you mentioned profiles. Number one, a seller is not going to go, oh, I'm going to create a great LinkedIn profile that really focuses on how my company helps our buyers. And they're not, that's not their job. So they're not going to be thinking about how to do that effectively. But when someone's Googling your company or your service, their profiles might very well show up, especially if someone's doing searches within LinkedIn. And you've got to make sure that everyone, not just sellers, actually, front office, back office, customer success, customer service, HR, marketing, hopefully marketing has a good profile. They all have to have good profiles. So we recommend creating a template. Now, that's one of the things that we used to do was build these templates for the leadership and then do a training with the entire company or whoever they wanted involved to get those LinkedIn profiles up to snuff, like creating a couple different background images that people can choose from, and then taking 10 minutes and showing people how to do that. Right. And that marketing can do that. The leadership doesn't actually, I don't expect the CEO to be sitting down with their sellers and going, and here's how you upload a LinkedIn background. But you want to make sure that marketing has those background images. Have a couple different headlines that your sellers can, and the rest of your team can choose from, right? Have different types of media and show them how to plug those into the profile. Have an outline, some bullet points, or completely written about sections that they can copy and paste. Have experience sections that they can customize or copy and paste. The more you can do for your employees to get them up to snuff, the better. And of course, as leadership, you need to be modeling that yourself. So you need to also have a good LinkedIn profile. And that's just step number one. But if you don't model that, and if you don't give your employees the tools, then you're, like I said, you're missing out on not only a great marketing and visibility and selling platform, but it might actually be costing you. There might be a cost of inaction, COI. So we want ROI, but there might be COI, there might be cost of inaction. And then similarly, you want to continue, and this again, not you, the CEO, but your marketing team, your social team, whoever needs to continue to feed your employees with content that they can share so that your employees continue to stay top of mind, because people are on LinkedIn, they're doing searches, they're seeing content, and they are a lot more likely to buy from a company that's sharing content about what their point of pain is, the solution they're looking to solve. If your competitors are doing that and you're not, they're going to go with your competitors.
Right. And depending on the size of your organization, depending on the size of your team, it would even make a lot of sense to make sure that as a culture, if you will, that the team, all the team members are engaging with their content, right? Because you may not all have the exact same connection, but one of the wonderful things about LinkedIn is the fact that organic content sticks around for quite some time. I mean, I get stuff on my feed where I see that so-and-so likes something. When I see it, it was like 2 weeks ago, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. No other social media platform whatsoever props up organic content for as long as LinkedIn does. So that, what would you say about using that as part of the company culture to say, hey, look, everybody who's got a LinkedIn profile, make sure that you guys are connected individually, and make sure that you allot X amount of time, either a day or a week, where you're going in, resharing, posting, liking, commenting, things of that nature. Does that help the algorithm, or would that hurt the algorithm? Does it help the profile? How does that play out?
Yeah, 100% helps. When we run people through our program, near the end, we have feeding your network. And then right after feeding your network, we have your cadence. So we teach sellers, and we teach all your employees how to find, curate, or create their own content, how to share that. And then to your point, you got to get a cadence. You got to do it. If you can get them to do it every day, great. If not, a couple of times a week. And there's a really cool feature built into your LinkedIn company page. So you have to be an administrator of your LinkedIn company page, and you have to have enough employees, and you have to have enough followers. But if you are an administrator and you go into the content section, you can recommend content. And what's so cool about that is then when any of your employees go to your company page, it's going to land on a tab that says My Company. And in there is going to be all the content that you've recommended. So you've got to create that for them. And again, when I say you, I usually mean the marketing team or the social media person. But what's really, really good about the My Recommended content or the My Company content, as opposed to just company posts, is that when an employee goes into My Company and sees the recommended posts and shares those posts, it comes across as if they natively sent it themselves. So it looks like they wrote it, which is good, which is really, really good, because LinkedIn likes it. It for whatever reason, LinkedIn doesn't tend to promote when you share your company post. But when you are using recommended content and post that, it looks native. So better algorithm, but also as a marketer, you can make sure that the post is everything you want it to be. There's no spelling mistakes. You're using the right hashtags. You're mentioning, legitimate people within the company or other companies that you're working with. You're compliant, right? And so if you've got, we know KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. I like to say KISS, keep it simple for your salespeople, right? So we want to make it as easy as possible. So templates for the profile, spend an hour with them, show them how to upload it. You can do it in a company training. Number 2, build out that My Company page content so people can go in there and share it. And that is going to make your company look much bigger. When we started Vengresso, we had 9 employees. We had a reach of 19 million people with just 9 employees. So we were consistently sharing content and having all of our employees, not just the leadership, not just the salespeople, not just the marketers, but our customer success, our HR people, we were having them all share content. And that really built our visibility.
And that's amazing, right? And that just goes to show the power of the platform. But it also takes an understanding of how the platform works,
Yeah.
what it has the ability to do, but then also it's a mindset shift,
Yeah.
right? Because as an owner of a restoration company, of any business, right?
Any business.
You have this idea, or most of us have this idea to say, hey, look, I'm going to go out and I'm going to hire this great route marketer, this great marketing guy or gal, right? And they're going to go out and they're going to shake hands. They're going to go ahead and promote my business. But then that's where it ends. We're like, come up with your content, build your profile, do this, do that.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes you don't take the time as an owner to say, hey, look, this is how I want you to represent my brand. Here's some ideas, right? I took the time, or I paid someone, which we'll get into for those of you that really want some ninja tricks. We'll get into some ninja tricks that Viveka and I were speaking about off camera that could really help expedite this entire process for you. Write the content, create the videos, like make it as simple for your people as humanly possible, to the point to where maybe all they have to do is click a couple of buttons, right? And boom, like the content is already shared. Exactly. So that's obviously a cultural thing. Is that something that you see quite a bit, where it's like management wants or ownership wants a certain result, but they don't quite put all the pieces of the puzzle together for their people?
Absolutely. You've got three disconnects that tend to happen a lot. The leadership doesn't want to get involved, right? It's not my swim lane, you do it. And then you've got marketing, and then you've got sales. And a lot of times that gap is not crossed. Your marketing buyer persona is different from your sales buyer persona. Sales gets mad at marketing because they're feeding them the wrong leads. Marketing gets mad at sales because they're not proving ROI on the great leads that they're creating. So there needs to be a lot more communication. And then I'll just go ahead and pull in customer service, because, there's nothing better than a referral. You're not going to get referrals if people are pissed off with your company. They're going to be pissed off with your company if your customer service isn't on tap, especially nowadays. I mean, let's not even get into the whole service industry ghosting that is going on. All you have to do, I think, to be successful these days is like
answer the phone,
and actually do what you say you're going to do. I mean, I better stop. It's Anyway, but yes, if you want to supplement and do even better, use LinkedIn. So the point being, I think leadership needs to be involved. And again, as I said, modeling successful strategies so that everyone in the company goes, okay, well, he's doing it, she's doing it, and look at all the visibility. Great. And another cool thing, and again, if you are leadership, you don't have time to be 24/7 on LinkedIn. I get it. My first book was LinkedIn Marketing an Hour a Day. I'm like, no one wants to spend an hour a day on my LinkedIn. But I'm like, but Wiley wants me to write the book, so I will. So I get that leadership probably doesn't have an hour a day for LinkedIn, but you can actually, you're not supposed to. But I delegate some tasks to my assistant.
I like how elegantly put that. I delegate some tasks.
I delegate some tasks to my assistant because there are things that I just don't have the time to go through and to attend. Now, there's a really cool thing. If you have an active leadership on LinkedIn, your salespeople can kind of hone in on engagement on that leadership's post. So a lot of times I'll post something, or Mario will post something, and a good prospective buyer of ours might engage upon that post. Our salespeople keep an eye on the comments on our posts, and they will engage directly with the prospects who are engaging on our posts. So I don't actually have to touch it. I share the post. I try to keep an eye on it, but my salespeople are going in and leveraging that engagement to start conversations, because we've got this KLT factor. My friend Bob Berg says, all things being equal, people do business with people and refer people they know, like, and trust. If someone knows and likes me and trusts me because I'm, an influencer in the space, then my sales team kind of gets to skip all those steps and start that conversation with someone who already knows, likes, and trusts me.
100%. And I think that all of us, especially in the restoration arena, like,
Yeah.
I'm in all the Facebook groups and I'm in all
Yeah.
the LinkedIn groups, and I see the chatter and the bickering back and forth, and everybody's an expert and everybody's got their right opinion. Right.
Right.
And
Of
it's
course.
a very alpha driven type of mindset.
Right.
Great. All the better, right? But this is an exact opportunity to where you could really like showcase, your way of doing things, creating content around that, the good, bad, and indifferent, and then just having your team engage on all of these types of situations, which I think is really interesting. So to kind of like wrap up the profile side, right? Because I want to give people like actionable things. You told them, create this like unique banner. And there's a couple of other tricks that we can use. I know that there's on mobile, there's the profile picture, and then there's also the pronunciation of the name and that kind of stuff. Can you just give us those couple of tips? Because I know I look at profiles quite often. Hell, even mine. I don't have a video on my mobile one. I do have the pronunciation little sales pitch. Can you just give us a quick little rundown on that? Because I think those will be really good tips that people can use like right now if they haven't done so yet.
Yeah. So LinkedIn came out with, and it's only available to record on your mobile device. You can watch it on a desktop, but to record, LinkedIn came out with a cool tool called name pronunciation. So me, like everybody else who has a weird name, Viveka von Rosen, but it's actually 10 seconds long. So even though it's Viveka von Rosen at Vengresso, that's still only like 3 or 4 seconds. So you have 10 seconds to share an automated or to share an elevator speech. And again, you can use your headline as your script. Who do you help? How, what's their point of pain? How do you help them? We help B2B salespeople who are having a hard time building their pipeline, create more quality conversations with LinkedIn. This is Viveka von Rosen with Vengresso. So I get my name, I get my company. Now it's Vengresso, not Vengroso or Vengriso. It's Viveka, not Viveka or Viveka. But more importantly, we help B2B salespeople create more pipeline through quality and conversations on LinkedIn or whatever. I just totally made that up. But if you use that, you've got that voice, that 10-second elevator speech. And how cool is that, right? So here's well, it's not black and white because we have pictures and stuff, but here is a graphic and written representation of you, LinkedIn, but now people can hear your voice. And then if you go to my profile, and again, just Google LinkedIn expert, Viveka von Rosen, you'll find me. If you go to my profile and you click on my picture, I'll actually be able to speak to you in a video for 30 seconds. So you can take that 10 seconds and expand upon it in that video. So now not only do you hear my voice, you get to see me. And that's going to give people a really great sense of who you are, which helps to build that KLT. How can someone know, like, and trust you if all they're looking at is print, right? Or, a picture of you that may or may not look like you. And then people have an assumption about who you are. But if you can talk to them through video, that's actually going to make a huge difference in that KLT factor. Again, you can only create these in your mobile device, but you can obviously watch them anywhere online.
Right, which is really awesome, right? And these are just small little tools that also I always look at them as a magnet, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, oh, well, a magnet's only got one side and it attracts, right? It's not necessarily true. It also repels, right? Like it's got both poles. So the beauty about this is when someone, especially if you're not someone who's constantly producing video content and you're not like, you're a little camera shy and you're just getting into the mix, people still want to get a little bit of a feel for who you are, right? Or even if you are comfortable doing video, great. People still want to get a feel. So what are they going to do? Either they're going to watch the content or hear the voice, and they're either going to like it and be like, you know what, I'm drawn to this person. I could see myself potentially either listening or allowing them to, to engage with their content because they're plausible, or I really want to do business with them, right? You have that camp, or you're going to get the people that you totally 100% just turn off because they don't like the tone of your voice. They don't like your mannerisms. They don't like the way that you look on video. Perfect.
That's great.
That is a massive win. If you take a pool of 100,000 people and immediately you can just go ahead and eliminate 50,000 prospects that were never going to buy from you because you guys just simply, or at least in their mind, they perceive that you will never click. To me, that's a win. I just now have to prospect 50,000 people less, right? So like my
Exactly.
pool of yeses just got that much bigger. So using these tools is a lot more than I think what meets the eye, right? Like you have all of these like little hidden benefits that LinkedIn has really provided you with. So right now what I want to do is I kind of want to switch gears a little bit because we've talked about what the profile should look like. And now I want to talk about, how to actually find the right prospect, right? And using the search tool that for arguably some would say that the best business search tool available to anyone is LinkedIn for several different factors. And I want to dive a little bit deeper into that. But before we do that, let's just go ahead and take a quick moment and thank our sponsors. Hey, real quick, are you a restoration pro looking to hire top talent inside of our industry? We all know that labor shortages are real, but I may have a solution for you, okay? And that is Wylander. Why? Well, very simple. They are the go-to recruiting company inside of the restoration arena. Well, the reason I say that is very simple. They've got proofs in the pudding. They've got over 1,000 placements in all 50 states, plus Canada. And what that means is that they not only have the expertise, but more importantly, they have the connections to find that top industry talent that you and your team are looking for. So stop wasting time. Stop sifting through tons and tons of resumes and just conducting endless interviews. Let Wylander do the heavy lifting for you and help you find that right person to help your company succeed. Call Wylander today and start building that dream team inside of the restoration arena. Hey, Dominators, real quick, let me ask you a question. How would you like to increase productivity? How would you like faster claims resolution? And more importantly, how would you like to reduce litigation? Well, this is exactly what Impartial allows you to do. Impartial creates timely, accurate estimates for faster and fair claim settlement. Building upon Matterport's technology, the Impartial Scope tool extracts the relevant data embedded with pre-mitigation and post-mitigation scans and subsequently renders an exactimate or assimilability estimate that can be approved by a carrier without any hesitation. The magic here is that the software helps contractors generate mitigation and repair estimates for more rapid approval from insurance carriers while removing the burdensome administrative process. Each Impartial estimate is produced with objective accuracy using immersive 3D imagery and precise physical and geospatial measurements. Impartial, in my opinion, is one of those tools that simply can go ahead and change your business. And with so many features such as Impartial tags, timestamp matter tags, the ability to upload JPEG, PNG, ESX, and so much more. Impartial is that software that could genuinely change your business. Make sure that you check them out in the video description below or in the show notes and see for yourself. Hey, Dominators, real quick, let me ask you a question. Have policyholders struggled to come up with your money because it's held with the mortgage company? Or does the percentage of uncollected debt that you collected in 2021 exceed over 2.5%? Or even better, let me ask you this. Do you dread negotiating with your policyholder when it comes time to collect your final payment and deductible? So look, if you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to check out Surety. You see, Surety is a third-party fund control company. And what they do is they ensure that you get paid faster and, more importantly, completely for the hard work that your crews are doing. Surety relieves not only the policyholder, but you of tremendous administrative burden while ensuring that the claims process, and more importantly, the proceeds flow via ACH to the rightful owner, you, the restorer. And here's the best part. For less than the average credit card fee, Surety delivers on numerous fronts. So here's what I want you to do. If you want to learn more about how Surety can help you, I want you to head on over to www.surety.com/dominate and request a free demo today. Now listen, Restoration Domination listeners, just like you, are going to receive a really cool offer. And here it is. You're going to receive an exclusive offer, which includes free processing for the first insurance claims check and 3 months of free access within their network. Again, that's Surety, SURETI.com/. All right. We are back. All right, cool. So we were leaving it off so great. Now we should have, in theory, this amazing profile. You took your amazing profile picture. You're using the video aspects, which are available. You've got your banner. You've got your name pronunciation. You've got your profile filled out in a non-resume style. It's actually speaking to your ideal client, to your ideal avatar. Preferably, you've been able to isolate this to a single style of individual or a very, very small group of individuals that you can service, right? So that way your messaging is nice and coherent and it pops when people see it and when you reach out to them. So great. Now we've got this great profile. The next natural question is, well, Rico, look, I am a route marketer. I am going after, hotels, facilities managers. I'm going after elderly care facilities. I'm going after all of these people, I'm going after commercial buildings owner, property management companies. How do I effectively use LinkedIn search function to find my ideal customer?
Yeah. And the thing is, the basic search box at the top, that's where most people kind of stop. The problem is most people have free accounts on LinkedIn. And what you'll notice is if you're using that top search feature, you're going to get a lot of results, too many results. I loved what you said earlier about, you have 100,000 people. Let's disqualify 55,000. And you need to do that on LinkedIn search too, because you are limited to the number of searches that you can do with the free account. So while it's a good idea to use the keyword area, elder care facility, you always want to go into LinkedIn and do a deeper dive in the search. So while you might put, elder care facility in the main search area, you always want to add the additional search features. And to do that, what you'll notice is when you click inside, either, I'm just doing it right now, but either when I click, that's not working. Okay, that's fine. So what you're going to do is you're going to click in, but then you want to search by usually people. So if I'm doing elder search facilities, then I want to sort by people. I can sort by companies, and there's definitely, you'll want to do that too. But right now we're just looking for the individuals who can actually buy our service. So I'm going to sort by people. Then I'm going to sort by all filters. Now this is where, and this is available for free users. There's a couple easy ways here where you can filter down your search results. So I have elder search facilities. Then I'm going to filter by first and second level connections. Why? First level connections, I can always just send a message to. Second level connections, I can ask to be introduced to. I can send them an invitation. So the third levels and beyond, it's a lot harder to get in touch with them. So to make things easier and to get more specific search results, first thing I'm going to do, sort by first and second level connections. And then in most cases, everyone listening to this recording has very specific geographies. So I'm going to sort by those geographies in my location. And then I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to put in the title or titles of the individuals that I want to do business with. Put titles in quotation mark and separate those titles by or. So I would have facilities manager in quotation marks. That just holds the words together. Then you don't have a whole bunch of facilities and a whole bunch of managers. And then I would do or, executive director in
and by the way,
quotation
just
marks.
for those that are listening, hell, even if you're watching, because we're not doing a screen share on this part, when you type in or, it has to be
capitalized,
capital O, capital R,
or. Exactly.
And actually, what I'm going to do, because I know that LinkedIn has this, because what she's describing right now, is it Boolean?
Boolean search.
Boolean search. LEAN search, which is a way to get really granular with your searches. And if you just type in, using Boolean search on LinkedIn, there's actually an article from LinkedIn talking about how to specifically use these style searches. And if I recall, I will put this in the video description. Hopefully I recall. And if not, just do a Google search.
Yeah. Boolean, Boolean.
And I'm just
Boolean
making that
search.
little comment because someone said that I promised a couple of resources and I forgot to put it in. It's like, dude, we're spoon feeding you gold here. Use your phone. Like, just stop. If I can find it, you can find it. Stop. But I'll try to go ahead and include the resource in there. Go ahead.
Boolean search and or not. So I'm looking for a facilities manager, or I'm looking for a different title. Maybe I'm not looking for an assistant, right? So mainly or you're going to use for basic search like that. But that is really going to hone in on, elder care research with the titles of the people in the right locations, and they're people that you can easily access because they're first or second level connections. If you don't get good results, add the third level connections or add another title. But that is going to get you the really specific individuals that you need to engage with. And then, of course, don't just go, hey, let's connect because I want you to buy my services. Go to their profile, just like you would on a first date or just like you would at a networking event, right? Research the individual. Okay, that's kind of creepy about first date. But anyway, research the individual so where did they go to school? Where have they worked in the past? How long have they been at their job? You don't have to necessarily bring this up because that might be creepy, but it'll give you a better understanding. If they're sharing content, get into it, right? If their company is sharing content, get into it. You can bring that up when you invite them to connect. Hey, I noticed that you're the facilities manager at blah, 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 elder care. And I just saw the post that you shared the other day about, how to prepare a room for occupation. I'm totally making this up, obviously. Did you know that there are a couple extra steps you can do to make sure that there's no mold in the room? We have this great article and I'd love to share it with you. So
right. I'm glad that you brought that up because I was just going to mention that, right? Someone listening to this, maybe they haven't created content, but they need to create content. They understand that they need to create content. Well, in some cases, your avatar is going to give you gold to write about. So in other words, if you're doing this properly and you're doing a little bit of research on who you're trying to sell, which look, there's nothing bad about that, right? Like, and you're not confusing anybody. Nobody's confused about this. Like everybody's on LinkedIn because either A, they want to showcase what it is that they're doing. They want to attract a certain type of customer, or you're there to sell on a certain type of customer, right? So this is all fair game. If this company or this organization is writing content or sharing a video about a particular experience, this is a great opportunity for you to take a step back and say, you know what, let me expand on this and then shoot it back to them. Like, hey, by the way, I read this thing. It was amazing. I have this article. I want to get your ideas on it, your feedback on it. And it's almost coming from this place of, hey, I'm not selling you anything because you haven't done so yet. Right. What you're doing is you're asking somebody for something that they have a whole lot of. And guess what that is? Opinions. Exactly. So you're much more likely to get someone's opinion on something. And that just opens up the floodgate to how you can engage with these people.
Yeah. In fact, speaking of opinions, one of the most popular forms of updates right now on LinkedIn are polls. So there's a little polling feature. You go into the updates area, click in there. There's a little graph looking thing. That's the polls. So you could even create a poll that your avatar, your buyer persona would like to engage in. It's I could spend an hour on polls, but because people like to, give their opinions, to Rico's point, you could say, hey, I've got this poll on, best ways of alleviating mold. I'd love for you to take it. Let me know what you think. And so they're more likely to click through. They'll see the poll. They'll respond to it. Once they respond to it, LinkedIn, just because of the way LinkedIn works, allows you to start a conversation with them about their reaction, their opinion. Maybe it agrees, and you don't even have to say what you think. You're just putting out some options out there for them. So using polls in combination with that lead engagement can be really, really powerful. And then you have an excuse to invite them to connect, and you haven't even tried to sell them anything yet.
Right. So now we've got this great profile. We understand a little bit on how to use search more effectively. You did mention that most users have a free account. Do you recommend for people that have a paid account, and how much value does that really bring to the table? Should they make the investment?
Yeah, it depends on your role. Definitely if you're sales or potentially if you're leadership that also sells, I think Sales Navigator is amazing, mainly because it saves you time. I'm a big proponent of how to save time, which we'll talk about in just a bit. But Sales Navigator allows you to save your leads. So you're not seeing necessarily everybody's content on LinkedIn. You can go to a specific list or specific saved search and see the content that those saved leads are sharing. So if they're high level prospects for you, that's giving you an opportunity, right? For buying signals. It's giving you an opportunity. They're triggers for you to engage with them. So you can stay top of mind, be helpful and useful, start those conversations, et cetera, et cetera. The search is better. One of the things I love about Sales Navigator search is you can sort by people who are posting on LinkedIn. So as we just mentioned, a great way to engage with someone is through their posts because you don't have to be connected with them yet. You can comment, you can mention them, you can ask them a question in the comment section of a post. But if you have to go looking through each one of your prospects and see if they're active today on LinkedIn, that's going to take forever. Or
Right.
you can
It's
click one
also
button.
you're running the risk of like going down a rabbit hole with
Right,
something
right.
totally unrelated with what you were actually on there to do. Right.
Exactly.
That's where the platform starts using you instead of you using the
Yeah,
platform, just like with any
exactly.
other social media platform.
Yeah, but if you could sort your searches and your results by like one button, that's going to save you an enormous amount of time. So I think the $79 to $99 to $119 per month, just depending on kind of what level and if you pay annually or monthly. But Sales Navigator to me makes a lot of sense. I mean, I don't know what you charge hourly, but $79 is a smidgen of what my time is worth. And then the other premium accounts, I'm not the biggest fan of the $59 premium LinkedIn account that isn't Sales Nav because, to me, getting access to LinkedIn Learning is fabulous. But for $20 more, you get access to LinkedIn Learning, plus you get all of the additional benefits of Sales Navigator, plus more in-mails. I mean, again, we have another hour's worth of content. Short answer, yes, Sales Navigator is worth it if you work it.
Awesome. So there's probably, and we were talking about this off camera, and to some degree, I hope that, I kind of wish that we brought this up a little bit earlier because I think it's so valuable, right? But you know what? This is probably a good lesson for those that might have left early because now they're not going to get this nugget of gold.
Right.
So it's kind of like it's a bonus for sticking around to the end of the interview. There's going to be a group of people that they just hate, for example, use me as an example. I hate to write about myself. Usually I don't write about myself. Any content that's out there that is written about me is legitimately written about me. It's not me because I don't like it. It just feels funky, right? It feels a little dirty. But writer's block is a real thing, right?
For sure.
And it all starts to some degree in a written format, whether that's your headline, your slogan, your about us section, like all of these things. Sometimes a perfectly drafted connection request with X amount of characters, which by the way, what is the character? What is it, like 200?
Question 300.
Okay. So yeah. So sometimes you just can't quite find the right words put together properly to match that 300 character, right? There's a lot of thought that sometimes goes into looking at a blank screen and you just see that cursor blinking back and forth. And there's this amazing technology that's recently been talked about quite a bit. And it hasn't really been spoken about a whole lot within the restoration arena. And that is ChatGPT. I see a tremendous amount of value in this particular technology. I really hope that more people in our industry, in the trades, see it as such a valuable tool, because talking about saving time, it's probably the one tool that can save you the most amount of time. What's your take on that? How do you think people should be using ChatGPT to help them with their profile, help them with their connection request?
Yeah. So I've actually got two tools, but let's start with Chat GTP because, to your point, it writes content for you. So we were talking a little bit earlier. Okay, so I've got a LinkedIn profile. I hate talking about myself. So if you want to, build out, expand upon your area of expertise, you can actually jump into Chat GPT and say, in I love how you said in the mode of Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, that would really grab someone's attention. Talk about
Absolutely.
restoration, domination, and Rico Garcia. And it's going to go through, it's going to find information on Rico, information on this podcast, compile it in the mode of Edgar Allan Poe. Okay, now obviously not everyone's going to do that, but I think it would be really cool, and it would be so different that people would be like, whoa. Of course, you can just say, name a business, speak about Viveka von Rosen and her expertise in LinkedIn and her company Vengresso. And it's going to create a biography for you, which you can then go in and edit and build out however you want. Or even more importantly, focus on your buyers, restoration companies. Who are their best customers and what are those customers challenged with? And Chat GPT is actually going to build out content for you. I use it we use a tool called Surfer SEO. So we run all of our articles. So I'll write an article, put it through Surfer SEO, and it'll tell me, what more I need. I need more characters. I need more paragraphs. I need more whatever. And I can go into Chat GPT and just build out a particular paragraph, build out a particular, word. I mean, it allows me to pull in more information and fluff that out so that I have a strong SEO article. And we were talking about earlier, sometimes you're just sitting there with the cursor blinking at you.
Just blinking,
right?
Just trying to figure this out. I'm going to take a screenshot of this because you mentioned it and I was like, you know what, while you're giving this explanation, let's do it. And I'm going to go ahead and take a screenshot of this and I'll probably put it in the show. Probably.
Yeah.
Put it on the show. So I put, in the tone of Edgar Allan Poe, write about the Restoration Domination write about how the Restoration Domination podcast is the best resource for restoration pros. And it goes on, literally. I mean, just while you were speaking, this thing just spit it out. Oh, Restoration Domination podcast, how you tantalize my auditory senses. As I sit here in the quiet of my chambers, lost in the shadow of the night, I find myself tuning to you time and time again for guidance and inspiration in my work as a restoration professional. Your hosts, with their vast knowledge and experience in the field, offer invaluable insights and tips on how to succeed in the competitive world of restoration. Their interviews with industry experts provide a wealth of information that I eagerly devour, hungry for ways to improve my craft. But it is not only the practical advice that draws me to you, Restoration Domination. It is the way you transport me to another world, a world where I am no longer alone in my pursuit of excellence. Through your words, I am able to connect with like-minded professionals sharing in the trials and triumphs of our chosen profession. So, dear podcast, I thank you for your solace and enlightenment you bring. You are truly the best resource for any restoration pro, and a shining beacon in the darkness. Long may you reign.
Oh, you have to put that as a post.
Wow. I mean, right. to write in the tone of Edgar Allan Poe, which I'm a huge Edgar Allan Poe fan.
Did you see Pale Blue Eye?
I started it. No, but it was too late when I started it. But yes, it's on my thing.
It's on your thing. Yeah.
Yeah. For like, as soon as I read the description, I was like, yes, that's a show for me to watch. But again, this is just a prime example. And now again, we did it in a comical way. This is probably, I'm still going to post this actually.
You 100% need to post
100% should. But again, to buy back your time, right?
Yeah.
Copywriting is one of these things
Yeah.
that everything starts with copy, everything starts with sales,
Yeah.
and you can go ahead and give it other prompts, right? Let's
Yeah.
say that you are familiar with a very good copywriter. You can that has
Yeah.
a body of work that's been referred to quite a few times. You can put in, write it in the tone of boom, and it'll come back. If the data is out there, when it's got trillions of data points, I believe, like if the data is out there, it's going to come back with something that is so well written. And then now what this does is it puts you in the position of being an editor, as opposed to being the author.
Yeah.
And as all people know, and particularly in our industry, it is so much easier to pick apart something that's already been given to you than to create it from scratch.
Because we all have opinions.
Because we all have opinions, very strong ones at that.
And
it's just a great tool.
Yeah, let me mention one more thing too, because obviously engagement is key, and we're not going to, if we have the plain, white piece of paper, empty field in LinkedIn, it's harder for us to engage. So I do want to very quickly at the end, also bonus for listening in, I want to mention our tool Fly Message, which is an auto text expander, which simply means you can access content you've already created with a couple keystrokes. And you can do it not just on LinkedIn, anywhere online, like literally Google Docs, forms. I have my bio written out, --Viv bio, and it populates. So it saves me an enormous amount of time. But related to LinkedIn, if you know who your avatar is, right? You might have a couple different ones, that's fine. But you can ahead of time write an introduction, write an invitation, write a follow-up message to that particular avatar, plugging in the media, the document maybe that you just created using Chat GPT. And you can create those so that all you have to do when you go on LinkedIn and find someone you want to connect with, right? So it's -RD1, Restoration Domination 1, -RD pod for inviting them to my podcast. Like, so whether it's a full-on 10-page document or a 5-line introduction or a 3-line invitation or your Zoom address or your phone number, for which I can't remember my phone number, it's in my phone. Any of those things that you type over and over again, that you find yourself searching for over and over again, you can add them to Fly Message, FLYMSG.io, Fly Message, Chrome extension or Edge extension. And with just a few keystrokes, which you design, you can populate those messages. And in order to help, our clients use Fly Message, we've actually got some templates already built in there. So to bring it back to what we were talking about at the beginning, we need to make it as easy as possible for our sellers, for HR, for our for our customer success people to be able to engage on LinkedIn and everywhere else. And the more that we can create templates for them, the better. And for those things that you don't have templates for already, we've got my book, which you're going to be getting in show notes. And for those what doesn't get covered there, you've got now Chat GPT that can write stuff for you. So we got you covered today.
Yeah, pretty much. And there's so much great usage and case studies for all of this technology, and it's all about buying your time back, right? 5 minutes here,
Absolutely.
10 minutes there, going from browser to browser to copy and paste an invite link. Like if you're catching yourself doing it multiple times, or as an owner or as upper management, if you know that human nature sometimes resists things that are easy, right?
Yes.
Because that's just unfortunately the way that it is.
Of course.
Take the time, create these systems that once it's created, now you get people into the habit right from day one to using these tools that are going to shortcut. So now what would take, a month of prospecting, you could in theory, go ahead and cut that maybe down to 2 weeks, maybe down to a week, because all of these small little, 10, 15 minutes, there's a lot of opportunity there for people to get sidetracked.
Yes.
As they're doing something as simple as going into their email because they wrote an email before that now they want to send to somebody else. But
Yeah.
because they didn't copy and paste, now they got to go back into the inbox. And guess what's there? New emails, new things that are drawing your attention. So now all of a sudden you just lost 30 minutes of productivity.
Yeah.
With something as simple as, fly message, right? Or, any one of these tools that are available. So as I mentioned before, I am going to have a link to 101 Ways to Rock LinkedIn and tons of other little resources if I remember, but it should be in the show notes. But outside of that, if someone wanted to go ahead and get in contact with you, I'm going to assume LinkedIn is probably the place to go. Where would they go ahead and reach you and learn more about all the cool stuff that you've got going on right now?
Yeah. So really just Google LinkedIn Expert. My LinkedIn profile will be one of the first organic search results. The paid ads are on top. And just click through. Just say in your invitation to connect, we didn't really cover this, but always customize your invitations to connect. Just say you heard me. That's all you need to know. I heard you in Restoration Domination. Cool. Let's connect. And I always respond anyway. So you can message me even if we're not connected on LinkedIn. But for sure, just let me know you heard me here, and I'd be happy to connect and answer any questions you have.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time, out of your day to go ahead and teach us about LinkedIn and how to use all these really cool tools. Remember, Restoration Dominators, it's not about resources. It's about your resourcefulness. Now you've got the tools. Definitely take advantage of what's going on in the marketplace. LinkedIn is an amazing tool. Your prospects are, I promise you, I guarantee you, they are on the platform. Use it intelligently, use it effectively. And as always, hustle, hack, dominate. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
You've been listening to Restoration Domination, your #1 resource for tips, tricks, and hacks to help your business grow. Subscribe to our channel and follow us for more Restoration Domination. And follow our host at Rico Garcia Jr. on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Till next time, this is Restoration Domination. Hustle, hack, dominate.